So if you like ports and options like I do, this VTOMAN FlashSpeed 1500 portable battery station should have a lot of the stuff that you might want because you have a lot of ports on the front, which I'll cover in a second. But more importantly, you do have a 1548 watt hour total battery capacity on the inside. So on their website, they give you this little graphic that shows you some of the more common household appliances that you might want to run with this. Like a coffee maker can run for like 1.3 hours. Look, I love my coffee, but in an emergency situation like the power going out or something critical like a refrigerator that pulls around 70 watts, this will be able to run it for between 18 and 36 hours. Now, like with anything, it does depend on how big your refrigerator is, right? So if you have a really big refrigerator with the freezer and stuff, it might be pulling 100 watts. So that number is going to vary. But I plug this into a little fridge that I have in my living room that I just use for drinks and stuff when people come over. And that was pulling around 70 watts. And with like an 85% charge on this power station, it was showing me around like 13 to 15 hours or so. So that's definitely going to be plenty in an emergency situation. So the main point about this is that this has enough capacity inside of it to be able to help you out in emergency situations and keep those important things running. And this thing should last you for some years before you start to see any type of significant drop in the overall battery capacity. Batteries over time lose their amount of charge that you can hold every time you recharge it. But this should last you for around 3,100 cycles before you see this drop down to like a total of like 80% capacity, which is going to be a number of years. So that's good. And it also has a number of different protections that are built within the battery system for overcharge protection and things like that. So I don't remember everything that's on the page, but I'm showing you on the website right now. You can see that it does have a lot of protections in place to help protect you for safety and also just the health of the battery. Well, let's get to one of my favorite things about this power station, and that's the fact that you have ports galore on this thing. So you have plenty of ports. You can have up to 12 devices simultaneously charging off of this thing. So let's just take a look at all the ports that this thing does have. So the first ports are going to be the inputs. So under this flap, you will find a solar input that does support up to 400 watts via solar panel charging. And then you also have your AC input. So plugging this thing into a wall can get you from 0 to 100% in just about an hour. So that is 1,500 watts of AC input. So that's good. And then also as far as like your DC input, like a cigarette charging cable, you can get up to 200 watts with this. And below that, you will find your DC output. So this is going to be 12 volts at 10 amps. So again, this is going to be like your cigarette lighter cable. And I love just the design of the flap on this because it is very secure when you're not using it. Sometimes on these power stations, it's kind of flimsy, but this one stays in place. And I also like the little detail to show you the locking point. So when you do plug in something like a cigarette lighter, sometimes you have to twist it before it locks into place. This shows you exactly where you need to put it in. Now to the right of those ports, you do have your USB ports and you have a lot of them. So at the top, you will find two USB-C ports and both of them do support 100-watt charging. And then also below that, you'll find 4 USB type A ports for that old school backwards charging. But yeah, anyway, the top 3 are going to be coming in at 12 watts max. And then also the one at the bottom is quick charge. So you'll be able to get up to 18 watts of charging. Now, VTOMAN definitely made a decision to not go with a wireless charging pad like you see on some power stations at the top, and they went with storage instead. So some people might be mad at that. Personally, I don't mind it. I would rather have the cables with me instead of the wireless charging and just elect for the wired charging, which most times is going to be faster anyway. And then on the bottom right, you will find 3 AC outputs, and these come in at 110 volts or 1,500 watts. But this machine does support up to 3,000 watts as far as like instant output. So if you do have something that has a little bit of a surge in power in the beginning when you do plug it in, but then later it calms on down, this has a lot of capacity there to be able to accommodate some of those more power hungry devices. And with these last 2 connections on the right hand side, you will find this little green battery icon. And so VTOMAN actually sells additional battery packs that you can plug into this to extend the overall battery capacity so you don't have to worry about recharging as much. So that plugs in there. And to the left of that, you will find a connection point for a jumper cable so you can quickly jump your car with this if you need to. And then with the display, it's not a color display, so it's nothing fancy going on with it. It's just a black and white display that will show you the remaining battery life and also the amount of hours or time that you have depending on what you have plugged in and the capacity left in the battery. So this black and white display isn't a deal breaker by no means, but but I would like to have seen like a color display. But overall, it gets the job done. But oh, let me get to one of my favorite parts about this power station, and that's the fact that you have built-in storage at the top. So at the top, you have this little flap that you can open up, and you have not super deep storage, but enough to be able to put the cables that come with this power station, the charging cables, and also a couple of USB cables, and all of that will fit kind of tightly in this, but it still fits and allows you to have those cables with you no matter where you go. So if you do take this camping and you might have like an outlet at your camping site, you don't have to worry about remembering if you brought the cable along. This should be right here with you if you are using that for cable storage. But of course, you can use it for anything else, putting a phone or other little portable battery packs, little snacks, whatever you want to put in there. But I'm going to be using it for the cables. Now you will get a little bit of a workout moving this power station around because it does come in at 41.5 pounds. Now you do have some handles on the side that you can pick up to make it a little bit easier to move around. But yeah, you're going to get some muscle workout if you want to pick this up and walk it long distances. But I do like how compact this is because it is mostly a squarish design. So the bottom is flat and also the top is going to be flat. So if you are putting this on top of something or putting things on top of it, it's not going to be sliding around as much, which is going to be nice. All right, so let's get into more of the extras about this thing. So you do have pass-through charging. So you can have this plugged into the wall and you can be charging it, but also you can have other things plugged into it at the same time. And this isn't as common as I would want it to be. A lot of power stations require you to not to be able to charge it while it's charging itself. So I like to see that here. And this also does have a LED light on the back of it. So it has a little button that you press, and then now you have a few different brightness modes. And also you do have a couple of different like emergency SOS modes where it'll be blinking and stuff like that to get people's attention. So this is nice to have, especially if you are using this in your car or a tent at nighttime. And so look, I like to keep it simple with my power station reviews. I'm not going to do a lot of testing with meters and stuff like that. For me, it's the highlights of how I'm going to be using it when I'm camping and stuff. And having all of these ports, especially the USB ports on the front here, are super convenient. The built-in storage at the top, you already know I like that. And this is in the sweet spot when it comes to the overall size and the battery capacity. There are larger power stations you can get, but those are super, super heavy to move around. But this isn't too small where I have to worry about charging something like a refrigerator overnight. This can be able to do that. Now, as far as prices, FlashSpeed 1500 has a normal price of $1,399, but I'm looking on their website right now for Labor Day. This has a sale going on for $659. So if you are watching this video around this time, that's a really excellent price for the capacity that you do get. But you know, if you are watching this later on, just make sure you check that link down in the description to get the more up-to-date pricing of this power station. So yeah, this is a solid overall power station, but let me know what you think about it down below in the comments. But like always, I do want to thank you for watching this video, and I will catch you later. Peace.